Good morning and welcome to Equity Story. Today is the 6th of February, Monday. I'm flying solo because David's unavailable today, so you're stuck with me. Before I go on, just a quick disclaimer in front of you, pretty much saying as usual, this is just general advice only, and every stock I'm going to talk about today is all about the fundamentals and technicals only. All right, so today's show, I've got some stocks that I'm going to talk about as in the actual results and some announcements this morning, and there's about 8 stocks: BMM, SRG, NCK, PMT, NCM, WA1 and ARB, and Lin. I'll quickly talk about. Before I do that, I just want to quickly go through Friday's market action in the US, just like as we expected. We talked about it on Friday. A little bit of a pullback on the NASDAQ after the bell on Friday. Some of the big boys didn't report fantastically well, so there was aftermarket looked like there's going to be a bit of sell-off. It was mixed. It wasn't as bad as I feared, so which is good, but nonetheless, I think needs a bit of a breather. NASDAQ was up about 5 weeks in a row, so we need to see a bit more, a bit more weakness, I suppose, just to give it a bit more impetus later on. So good to see from that side of things. Maybe give us an opportunity to buy some stocks here in Australia that we like. But no, look, not a great start of the week, but so be it. It's not a disaster. And let's see how we go. Hopefully some of these Einsteins that they've put out on Sunday will work. Maybe not today, but the rest of the week and the following weeks as well. But it just gives you a chance to get into some of these stories a little bit cheaper. All right, so just let's move on, and I'm going to switch screens now to the actual chart, so you can see exactly what I'm looking at right now. So I'll go to there, and the first story I'm going to talk about today is BMM. So we talked about maybe last week, the week previously, Cosmos and PMT and WA1, the stocks that are in Canada, looking at lithium. PMT especially will look coming out with some incredible results in the lithium space. WA1 not too far behind with their results. Then there was another little Cosmos who picked up some ground pretty close by. This is the fourth one that's picking up some ground. So neurology play that's looking actually quite good on the charts, as you can see on the weekly. Today's good starts. Just you're talking about it's exploration in that area. So you'd expect maybe for the next few weeks there's going to be some interest from the investors out there, from the FOMOs out there, looking to maybe punt this along. So just watch this on your screen, put it on your watch list, and it's another one to follow in that space over there in Canada. I think if you're going to be following lithium, probably this is the hot space right now in that particular spot where PMTs and where WA1 is. So let's have a look at PMT anyway, because I'm going to talk about it too, due to the fact they come up with more results. And it's interesting enough, again, very, very good. So they're extending their grounds. And you can see daily is pretty obviously good. Weekly is going to be good as well. We talked about it, that it's gone too hard, too fast. But they keep coming up with these really nice results and expanding the actual footprint that they've actually drilling on. You'd expect more interest from the FOMOs, right? So just keep following, keep raising your stop losses if you are still in this. If you want to take some profits, of course, understandable, take some money off the table. But it's gonna probably come back one time once the results start obviously getting a bit not as good as what we've seen previously, and maybe a bit of quietness for a week or two, and you're gonna probably see that the interest starting to wane a little bit. So just be careful with things like this, but you can see that's still going very, very well. So WA1, I expect that going to quite well as well. So we'll look at that one, and then we'll have a quick look at Cosmos. As you can see, all those ones are going very well. And I'm going to look at Cosmos as well. I just can't remember what the code is in this one, but let's see if I can find it. There we go, C1X. That's the one. And yeah, look at it. All very, very similar. I'm going to put it on a longer chart. And you can see they're just going up and up and up. So Balkan BMM is another one to add to that category. Either though this one and BMM are much more riskier because they've actually got no exploration results. All they do is pick up some ground, right? The other two at least had some exploration results, and they were very, very, very good. The one that I'm more interested in is definitely this one than BMM, due to the fact that if you look at the geology of it, you can see that potentially is a continuation of the pegmatites going from PMT's ground into Cosmos's ground. And today's results from PMT are moving in the direction of Cosmos ground, right? That's why I'm interested in Cosmos more than I'm interested in PMM. PMM is further up north, and it just doesn't look the same. However, it's not that far away, so we'll see. But Cosmos is the one that's really the most interest for me at this stage. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to another company today reported, SRG, reading more contracts. Let's have a look at the chart here, and you can see it's looking beautiful, absolutely beautiful, swinging chart up and down. If you're looking for a trade, you can't say no, can you? I mean, it's sort of almost at least 12-month highs, maybe even all-time highs. I'd probably put it on a long-term chart, but this is what you sort of want to buy. And it's today, the results are probably good enough to push it further along. So I'm expecting this further, go up over the next few weeks. So if you are trading, this looks very, very good. Just gives it more fuel to the fire with today's announcement. It's looking great. I like it. Next one, NCK. So this is one of the retailers that really, let's see how it's going. And today's results are sort of mixed for me. I mean, you can see the market just does not sure. It's going down. So the results just on paper, if you look at it, black and white, great, right? You look at the revenues are rising pretty hard. You look at the bottom line, the margins are rising pretty hard. But you've got to take into context. Now, they bought a company recently, so that's added to the revenues, of course. Now, the outlook, of course, is going to be probably the key here. And I suppose maybe what the market's saying, we expected more, we expected a better outlook. We're not sure, and it's being a little bit punished today. So for me, if you're trading this, I don't think there's time to panic yet, but just watch this closely, and you can see it's already gone down to $11 and it's bounced to $11.87. So just watch this. I think I'll be using that $11.50 as my stop. And if it goes below that, I'm out, because you can see there was resistance about $11.50, and you don't want to see that below this candle here, and halfway below this candle. So about $11.40, I'll probably be out of this if I'm going to be trading. So you've got about 40 cents odd to play with. All right, let's move on to the next one. What have I got? So we talked about PMT. I won't go through it again. Now, Newcrest. Now, I need to talk about gold and Newcrest. Gold's had a bit of a shellacking over the weekend. It's down to below the $1,900, so that's not great. But NCM is receiving a takeover offer, so this is big news for the gold space, especially here in Australia. We talked about this is one of the better trading stocks around. It's still a hold, like we talked about, and here we go. So we got some M&A activity. I think from what I can see, it is Newmont, I think, lobbing a bid in at a scrip offer. Now, the scrip equates to, if you look at that announcement today, it equates to about 27.18. So it's around there for Newcrest. Now, is that good enough? That's about 20-something% odd upside here. It's interesting because it's scrip, so it will fluctuate depending on where Newmont's share price will be. And if gold eases off, this is not going to look as great, right? So this is why it's tricky whether this is going to be good enough or not for the shareholders, and they want shares in Newmont. Look, let's see how the market reacts, because this is the most. It's still in a, I think it's not a trading hold. Or is it back up? Okay, it's back out again now. So that's up, what, 3 cents on the back of that? Surely there's got to be more movement there today. Let's have a look at today's daily movements. Yeah, it's not much going on here today. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes. But there is a preliminary talk, right? At least from man-made activity. Is there someone else can come in? Possibly. If I was in this, I'd be holding. That's just the simple fact for me, is that there's someone interested. It's not expensive, and it looks like a good story. And of course, it's a premier Australian story here in gold. So yeah, why not? Even though we had a bit of a pullback in gold, and that's probably the only dampener here. Overall, I think I'd probably be holding this. All right, let's go to the next announcement, and that's WA1. And Very good announcement here from WA1. So let's have a look what's going on here on a daily, which actually was, let me see, it was up, it's still up 5%, but it was up much higher than that. It was up at $2. Now it's done at 1.70. So it's still up slightly, but was, much better start this morning. Now, the results were good in the fact that they come up with some very nice high-grade niobium in there. But it's, decent thicknesses. But, the niobium is very, very interesting because you don't find such high-grade niobium around very, very often. And I think there's only one mine globally that's around this sort of percent. So that's really telling and unique. And if you're in this company, you're probably still holding. But again, it's going to be volatile. It's still, the chart looks decent. So I would not be panicking here if it's gone up to $2 and come back. Maybe even, you'd be thinking this could be an opportunity to get some for the next few weeks. But it's going to be tricky. It's going to be very tricky with this one because it's going to be volatile. It might come back to the 160, 150 level again. So not for the faint-hearted for sure. But there's definitely something in that announcement that you're going to be liking it. And if you've got the longer term view, maybe even a hold. But you've got to be, you've got to have that long-term view and you've got to be expecting that volatility. And you've got to stop, if you are going to be holding long-term, you've got to stop that at 132. So maybe just below that. Maybe 120 something. All right, let's go to the next one, ARB. So they come up with their update. Now, it's actually what's made Einstein's for Dave. So interestingly enough, its announcement wasn't great, right? If you look at just, again, the black and white financials, profits are going to be down, revenues are going to be down, yet look at the share price performance here, right? That's obviously been predicted by the market because they didn't react that heavily, right? Yes, it was down to $32, but it bounced back nicely. It's only down 20 cents this morning, which is 0.6. So that's pretty good from a company that's released an announcement that profits are going to be down, that revenues are going to be down, and things haven't been great. However, I think maybe it's the outlook that has saved this company today, and they're saying that things are improving, especially the cost side of things. So probably the worst is behind them. I think that's what you can probably take out from that announcement, and things are on the up again. So if you are in this as a trade, right, on the Einsteins, it possibly is now not a bad play because now the market's aware what the results are going to be like in Feb, and it seems like they're comfortable with them. And if you're going to be buying this, you've got a nice stop, and possibly now from here on, you might see a little bit of a grind forwards down to that $36, right? So I can understand if you're in this or if you're buying this, you've got that risk announcement out of the way, and you can possibly now have a bit more comfort in knowing that maybe that market's okay with this particular announcement, and you can grind higher from here. However, for me, maybe there's something better out there, and it's an announcement like this I would not get excited about, but at least I know from what they're saying is that, like I said, the worst is behind and maybe there's better times ahead. It's a market darling, so potentially it could grind higher from here. All right, last one. Let's have a look at this one, and that's LIN. And this has been sort of like a trading stock, very high risk in Congo. Again, some good results on the REE side, yet the market's just not quite interested. What the reason might be, I just don't know. I mean, there could be FOMOs in there that just not want to play this at the moment. It's just maybe too risky for them. But the results weren't actually quite good. So there weren't something that you'd go, oh my God, I'm going to get out of this. And were they good enough to push this high? Yeah, I thought they would have been, but the market's just not quite there yet. So from that point of view, definitely would not be touching this one for the moment. All right, that's the announcement this morning. Let's hope the markets behave themselves. I'm just looking at trading economics because that's also very interesting for me because there's a lot of commodities that are being hit early this week, right? So I'm looking at, for example, cobalt, leads, aluminium, tin, zinc, nickel. They're all down heavily this morning, especially cobalt 6.6%, tin down 3.4%, zinc and nickel down. So maybe some of these miners, you're looking at SRG, BHP and Rios, might not be faring too well this morning. Let's have a look. I'm quite intrigued to see how it's going. It's actually not too bad. They're not too bad. What, 0.5% down. BHP, I think iron ore was the one that was holding steady in a way. So that's up 1%. That's nice. So that's good. So it hasn't obviously created too much panic in some of these commodity players, which is nice. I think that iron ore helped for sure out of that. But if you are looking at playing some of the other smaller players, just be wary that the start of the week has been great for some of these commodities. Like I've mentioned, the aluminiums, leads, tins, and zincs and nickels. All right, that's enough for me today. Not a bad, it's expecting a worse start to me, to be honest. I'm expecting a worse start today, so that's okay. Let's hope the week turns out positive for us, and I'm still pretty bullish on my techs. That there's going to be a recovery, even though we might have a pullback, or for a week or two. I'm looking to buy the really quality top of the range stocks out there. Other than that, good luck trading and have a great the rest of the week. If I don't see you, and I'll see you again tomorrow with Dave. Cheers, guys.